Hi, my name is Lawrence Price, and I just want to continue our conversation on organizational change and just some of the different structured brainstorming techniques that you can use throughout your project and just helping your organization manage through change. Today, what I'd like to do is walk you through an exercise. Basically, it's laid out in the form of a template, but it's really, a thought process. Something that I usually do towards the end of the project as I'm starting to wind things down. So at this point, we've done all of our communication planning and training efforts and things like that to execute the change. As an organization, we've probably implemented the actual process or the product or service that we're rolling out inside the organization. And now things are starting to kind of wind down a little bit. And what's important is to start thinking now long-term as a project team, which is always something that is a temporary thing that every organization puts together. As that project team winds down and starts to disband, how do we make sure that the process improvement, that the change that was created sticks around long-term? And so I'm going to walk you through a template that I use. You can use this template as a way of maybe it's just you as a change agent kind of thinking through it. You can bring in members of your project team. You can even sit down with stakeholders and work through it. But it's a good way to kind of reflect on a thought process and think about what final action items you may want to take or recommend in order to make sure that the process improvement, that the change that has occurred actually is embedded inside the organization and sticks around long term. So I'm gonna bring up this tool, this template, and just kind of walk you through the thought process around it. So here it is. Over here at the cross on the top here, you're asking yourself basically a series of kind of questions, right? So one is, in this current state, does this topic have a impact, low, medium, and high, or you can describe what that impact may or may not be. You can say, next you want to say, all right, now that I understand the impact of it, does it help or hinder? And of course, if it's something that is hindering the process improvement from sticking around and being really embedded inside the organization, you're probably going to want to do some steps to improve that. If it's something that helps with augmenting and making sure that the process improvement stays, then you may want to think about action items that will augment it and make it even better, or even play a bigger role. So what is it that you're going to do? And then, of course, just like any good action planning, who's going to be responsible? Is it yourself? Is it someone else inside the organization? And then, of course, what is that due date, right? So when is it going to be done by? And so I usually think about, those process steps in these, particular topics. So one is staffing. So do we have all of the right people within the organization and things like that? So are there any new roles that need to be created? Next is talent development. So long-term, kind of basically long-term training plan and things like that. So from a learning and development perspective, what things that we need to do long-term. So as a part of your change effort, you probably came up with some temporary training activities and things like that, but you need to think about a little bit longer. So what happens when new people come into the company? How are they going to learn about, all the training that's required and things like that? Performance measures. So what kind of KPIs do you want to keep in track? Do we need to create new metrics because of the process, or will our previous metrics be sufficient? Rewards. Is there anything that we can do as an organization to continue to recognize people long-term and reward them for excellence in this process? Communication. So you definitely have had like a short-term communication plan in place as a part of your change effort, but what things long-term do you want to do to continue to communicate to the organization about this improvement? Organizational design. Sometimes, depending upon what the change look like, you may need to re-look at how the organization is laid out. Does the organization need to be flatter? Do reporting structures need to be changed? Do roles need to be redesigned and rethought out and things like that? Information systems is also another thing that to kind of pay attention to. And then your bench planning. So you probably have some people that are currently in roles that are very critical to the new process. They're probably the only person within maybe their particular niche, their particular department or team that really understand the process in depth. What is your succession planning? What does your bench planning look like for those individuals as they move around the organization and start doing other things? So all those things in place, I start kind of thinking through those. As you're kind of working through your particular change project, you may identify some other things that you want to pay attention to and think about the impact the help/hinder piece of it. What are you actions you're going to do? Who is going to be, take care of it, and by when? So again, it's a great tool to either think through individually as a change agent, or to facilitate conversations that you may have with members of your project team or your key stakeholders. So again, I hope this video and this particular tool helps you out in your change efforts and things like that in order to make your organization more resilient. If you like this video, please definitely hit the like button for us. And it'd be great if you're willing to, if you choose to subscribe to our channel. Thank you and take care.